Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on TOEIC Speaking Part 5. Now, TOEIC Speaking Part 5 is all about giving your opinion. You are given a topic to discuss, and you have 45 seconds to prepare, and then you have to speak for 60 seconds. Now, there are two possible problems with speaking for 60 seconds. Firstly, a student doesn't use the 45 seconds well and under-prepares. That means that there are long periods of silence and the 60 seconds goes past very quickly. The other one is that students don't have enough ideas to fill the 60 seconds. Both of these are a problem, but both of these can be overcome by just one thing, and that is practice. By the time you go to the TOEIC exam, you should have practiced this at least 20 times, probably more. By practicing, you start to understand exactly what 1 minute feels like. And you also get more comfortable structuring your speaking. Now, I'm going to go through some tips, and I'm also going to present you some language that you can use. Let's start with the tips, though. Okay. So, as you can see here, I've given you some language. There is some more over here that we're going to go through in a moment. But always support your opinion with a reason and or an example. This is good advice not just for the TOEIC, but for life in general. When people just give an opinion and then they don't back it up, it's very difficult to understand why they think the way they do, and therefore it's very difficult to argue with them. Okay, so you see example here. I think smoking is bad. Okay, it's an opinion. But I think smoking is bad because it can cause you to die younger. For example, many people get lung cancer from smoking. So we've given a reason and we've given an example. This is a much better answer. However, that alone is not going to get you to 60 seconds. So you need to mention the other side of the argument as well. So you can say something like, some people might disagree with me and say that smoking makes you look cool. But I'm not sure about that because it makes your teeth yellow and it makes your clothes smell. Now we've got 6 or 7 sentences, maybe 5 or 6. And that should be enough to fill the 60 seconds. Because, of course, you're going to need time to think about your answer. Okay? Now, one other thing that you can do if you're thinking and if you're worried about filling the time is you can do what we call buying time to think. Now, that is where you say something like, is smoking a bad thing? That's a good question. This gives you more time to think, although you've had 45 seconds. And then you can say, I've never really thought about it before. Let me see. Okay, so this would go at the beginning of what you're saying. And then my full answer would be, okay, is smoking a bad thing? That's a difficult question. I've never really thought about it before. Okay, I think smoking is bad because it can cause you to die younger. For example, many people get lung cancer from smoking. Some people might disagree with me and say that smoking makes you look cool, but I'm not sure about that because it makes your teeth yellow and it makes your clothes and your hair smell bad. All right, so that would be a good, well-constructed answer. Now, when you're practicing, practice in conversation with a friend. Okay, practicing on your own can be difficult. All right, and you can use current events to practice. What's in the news? So I've given an example here. If Japan's national football team wins an important match, you could have a conversation like this. Hey, Japan won last night. I think we can win the World Cup next year. Your friend responds with, well, I have to disagree. There are much stronger teams. And you say, I know what you mean, but Japan is also very strong. We have Kaoru Mitoma on the left wing, and we have some good defenders. Once you've had that conversation, then you can turn that into a 60-second speaking. So, okay, can Japan win the World Cup? Difficult question. Well, I think they can because we won last night, and that's our third win in a row. Some people might disagree and say there are much stronger teams like the Brazilian team or some of the European teams. However, I think that Japan has a very strong team. We have Kaoru Mitoma and we have a very good defense. So see how we've taken a conversation between you and a friend and we've made it into a 60-second speech. Now, I'm going to show you some language that you can use. There is some here, of course. And what I would recommend you do is take a screenshot of this table. Hoping it's going to come up. That would help. There we go. Okay, so take a screenshot of this table or copy it into your notebook. Here are 5 different ways of introducing your argument. Okay, here are 6 different ways of saying you agree. So you could say something like, some people say that smoking is bad, and I couldn't agree more. So that's how you would use these. Similarly, if you don't 100% agree, you can use one of these. So some people say that Japan has a good chance of winning the World Cup. I agree up to a point, but I believe that there are some reasons why it will be difficult. And of course, you've got these, the disagreeing ones. Okay? Some people might say that Japan have no chance of winning the World Cup, but I have to disagree because we are the strongest team in Asia and etc., etc. Okay? So take a screenshot of this or pause the video and copy it into your notebook and start practicing with this language. This is not just for TOEIC. This is for your everyday life. Okay? So if you learn how to do this, then you can have natural, longer conversations with people. It makes you a more interesting person to talk to. One thing I should remind you, though, is that you do not have to learn everything that is on this page. Okay? You can learn 2 or 3, 2 or 3, 2 or 3, just 2 from here. Okay? Language is all about preference. Each person speaks differently. So, for example, I use, in my opinion, the way I see it and I think. When I'm agreeing, I use you're spot on, that's true, and I couldn't agree more. When I'm slightly agreeing, I use I know what you mean, but, and I agree up to a point. And when I'm disagreeing, I use I'm not sure and I have to disagree. Those are my favorites. Your favorites might be different. So take the opportunity to practice with this and to work out which ones you like using and just use those in your speaking. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed all 5 of the speaking tip videos. And if you watch them multiple times, especially just before you take your TOEIC, then I am sure your scores will improve. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another video.